guys. So many people requested it. All I know about it is that it is about
falling
him.
through the cracks of the night sky. A light goes out on the other side. Suicide, suicide, suicide. Treading on the tracks in the night time.
All I know about it is that it's written from the perspective of him losing someone to suicide. Already, this sounds so much different than the other Run songs that I'm listening to or that I've reacted to, and I love it. Okay.
Never really felt like the right time. Suicide, suicide, suicide. I'm so fucking lonely beneath this. Narcissistic, can't keep a secret. Miscount sheep, I can't sleep, a misfit. Some say trouble, but some say sadistic. Bruises my brother, one time or the other. My skin felt counterfeit, silicone rubber. Bruises my sister, skin pop the blister. Dig deep, resist the feeling when it hits you. Falling through the cracks of the night sky. A light goes out on the other side. Suicide, suicide, suicide. Treading on the tracks in the night time. It never really felt like the right time. Suicide, suicide, suicide.
Okay, I have to say already, there are so many songs that talk around suicide that will not say the word suicide. So the fact that he's actually saying it, and not just saying it, but saying it over and over and over again, is really powerful because it goes towards destigmatization of the word, and what we can't talk about or refuse to talk about in actual terms actually makes people feel more isolated and more alone. So even just the act of him saying suicide and this song being called suicide, instead of talking around it or talking about it in other words that aren't specifically as clear, is really interesting. And yeah, I think it's really important. Okay, let's keep going.
Sick boy, bitten by a tech boy.
Okay, the callback.
It's not me, it's the world that's sick.
I'm so fucking washed up and seasick. Masochistic kid.
Okay, I love Sick Boy. Oh my god, this is so good.
I'm so fucking washed up and seasick. Masochistic kid with a split lip. 6 feet deep, I can't eat, I'm nervous. Won't stay down cause my body purges. Useless my mother, can't keep in my supper. Skin so pale cause my cheeks leak colour. Truth is my father, you choose your karma. Draw for the sword, then drive through the armour. Falling through the cracks of the night sky. A light goes out on the other side. Suicide, suicide, suicide. Treading on the tracks in the night time. It never really felt like the right time. Suicide, suicide, suicide.
Falling through the cracks of the night sky. That makes me, a light goes out on the other side. That sounds like an analogy for someone like taking their life by jumping off of a bridge, like falling through the cracks of the night sky, like falling through a bridge. A light goes out on the other side. When we think about a light going out, we think about a death, a darkness. But what's interesting about that is it also acknowledges that when someone dies, the light that they held within them, like all of the good within them, it can feel like it goes out on the other side. I know from my personal experience that the light that someone we have lost carries can live on in us. But it's an interesting perspective to take of like, a light goes out on the other side. We lost something beautiful, and that person, as they were falling through the night sky, couldn't see how beautiful and how important their light was. And they didn't realize that that's what would be happening, that they wouldn't just be falling into the darkness because they were darkness and they were pain, but they would be falling into the darkness and there would be something that was lost. Oh my God, okay, he's so freaking good. I just love Run.
Suicide, suicide, suicide. Suicide, suicide, suicide. Suicide, suicide, suicide. Suicide, suicide, suicide.
Over and over, it's so destigmatizing.
It's hard to take off from the ground when your wings are cut. Your stomach burns when you're drinking from an empty cup. You know the entire ocean came from my tear ducts. I see the world through Fibonacci sequences and double Dutch. I guess there's some that's born lucky, there's some that's not. I tried to cut away my bitterness, hatchet job. I locked my youth inside a trunk, inside a pickup truck, then dumped the whole thing over that same bridge the night you jumped. I think about that sometimes, vividly, what it felt like to look down and see tranquility. One sudden movement in a world of possibility, only one movement to expose our fragility. I fucking miss you, and I miss myself. I miss thinking we were indestructible as well. I miss chilling by the pier cave and kicking back with Callum, Hugo, Sega, Justin, Stevie and the fucking lads. I miss missing that. I numb myself to close the gap. I never even call them up. The distance is my plaster cast. The truth is that the day you jumped, my childhood jumped too. But I still can't find the anger. All I find is missing you, man, I miss you. With all my rhymes, I picture running 5 minutes quicker, I'm right on time. I picture pulling you back over the edge and then we're crying, and holding you, my brother, and telling you that it's fine. Not the way that it worked, cause I was late like a jerk. There's not a day where I could find a way to break from the hurt. Your body missing, so we never got to wave to the hearse. I hope you're listening, I love you, man, I miss you absurd. Fuck.
Ooh. If you don't know, a big part of my story is I lost one of my best friends to suicide. It's why I work at HeartSupport. It's why I became a therapist. It's one of the most painful things I've experienced in my life.
From the ground when your wings are cut. Your stomach burns when you're drinking from an empty cup. You know the entire ocean came from my tear ducts. I see the world through Fibonacci sequences and double Dutch. I guess there's some that's born lucky, there's some that's not. I tried to cut away my bitterness, hatchet job. I locked my youth inside a trunk, inside a pickup truck, then dumped the whole thing over that same bridge the night you jumped. I think about that sometimes, vividly, what it felt like to look down and see tranquility. One sudden movement in a world of possibility, only one movement to expose our fragility. I fucking miss you, and I miss myself. I miss thinking we were indestructible as well. I miss chilling by the pier cave and kicking back with Callum, Hugo, Sega, Justin, Stevie and the fucking lads. I miss missing that. I numb myself to close the gap. I never even call them up. The distance is my plaster cast. The truth is that the day you jumped, my childhood jumped too. But I still can't find the anger. All I find is missing you, man, I miss you. With all my rhymes, I picture running 5 minutes quicker, I'm right on time. I picture pulling you back over the edge and then we're crying, and holding you, my brother, and telling you that it's fine. Not the way that it worked, cause I was late like a jerk. There's not a day where I could find a way to break from the hurt. Your body missing, so we never got to wave to the hearse. I hope you're listening, I love you, man, I miss you absurd. Fuck.
I wanted to take you guys through why this end is so powerful. I just don't even have the words. I've never listened to a song that describes my experience losing someone to suicide as powerfully as this outro does. It is a gift to even be able to know that there is someone else who feels the way that you do. I think that suicide is not talked about enough, and that's why it's powerful that he's saying suicide, suicide, suicide over again. But often, once the person is lost, there's this additional, no one knows how to talk about it feeling. No one knows how to support you through it. No one knows how to acknowledge all of the guilt that you feel like he's talking about. That's not the way I worked, because I was late like a jerk. There's not a day where I could find a way to break from the hurt. The feeling of guilt of not being there, right? A feeling like you could have done something different. You could have changed the situation. Also the way that when you lose someone to suicide, what is taken is not just their life, but your innocence. Oh God. only one movement to expose our fragility. I miss thinking that we were indestructible as well. I miss chilling by the pier cave and kicking back. Like, especially when you lose someone so young, when it's like really when you lose someone so young, it makes you, it forces you in like the most shocking way possible to deal with mortality, to deal with death, to deal with pain. It's like, for me, I lost Will when I was a freshman in college, and I was, lucky that I had not lost a lot of other people in my life at that time. That was the first real big painful loss that I had experienced, and it was like the most intense way to experience that ever, because there wasn't just grief, and there isn't just grief. There's not just grief for the person, there's the grief of your innocence, there's the loss of feeling like you're in control, there's the guilt, there's the way that when you think back on those memories of your experience with this person, they're all now have this little tinge of like sadness. There's so much regret, and then there's just like the missing and the longing and the wishing and the forecasting of maybe it could have been different if something would have been different. I hope you're listening. I love you, man. I miss you. I'm sorry. I'm having like such a strong reaction to this. This song is the most beautiful piece of art I've ever heard, and I honestly, it's such a gift. Oh my God. Let's get meta for a second. My reaction to this song is the exact reason that this song is so powerful. I listen to music all day, every day. It's the most healing, powerful thing in my life. It's why I love this job. But it is very rarely that I have this reaction to a song about suicide, because it is very rarely that someone actually names suicide specifically, one, and it is very rare that when they do name it, they continue to name it over and over and over and over and over again. And then they talk about the nuances of what it feels like to both, it honestly feels like this song handles both perspectives, to be someone who has lost someone, and to be someone who has considered suicide. And in many times, those two people are the same. I know for me, I don't know Ren's story as much as I would like to, but I know that he's experienced a lot of depression and anxiety, misdiagnosis with Lyme's disease, things like that. But I know for me that losing my friend was both a catalyst for and something that happened around the same time of my own suicidality. And that is a story that I hear far too often, that often the people who experience the loss of suicide are the same people that feel suicidal themselves. And so I think that's another reason this song's so powerful. But what this song just did is it named it, and it named it over and over and over again, and it named it so specifically that it allowed me to tap into a well of pain that I often do not tap into. And that tapping into that well of pain and having someone understand it and not try to solve it is what heals, right? When suicide becomes not a warning symbol, an emergency, something that we need to solve, that we need to shy away from, that we need to talk around, that we need to fix immediately, that we need to treat someone like they are a problem because they are feeling this way, and instead because something that ignites empathy, that's when it actually gets fixed. When we stop trying to, I don't want this to be controversial, but like rising suicide rates are a problem. Don't get me wrong. It is the problem that I in my work want to try to solve. And also, we often take the problem and treat people like them having those thoughts are the problem, when in reality, those thoughts are just a reaction to a well of untouched pain and unempathized with pain, right? So they make sense. We need to stop treating it like, oh, we have to like fix you and we have to shut it down and we have to make sure you never think these things. And instead start treating it like, oh my gosh, if you're feeling this way, something must be really wrong that we need to talk about. Something must be really painful that you need to have empathize with. Come to me. I know when one of my clients is struggling and they start to talk about pain in a way that feels alarming to me, I know it is my responsibility to ask, because my asking, are you feeling suicidal, as an invitation for them to touch pain and to process and to speak pain that they feel like is too taboo, or they feel like people might look at them funny for sharing, or they feel like they don't even know how to talk about. So I know that I have to ask. And so this song is an invitation to talk about the parts of your pain that feel too big to process, the parts that you shoved down. And for me, a lot of that for a long time has been losing my friend. For you, it might be the thoughts you have yourself. It might be losing someone else. But I invite you to talk about it. If you're struggling with suicidal thoughts, or you have lost someone to suicide and you want support, share in the comments by tagging at HeartSupport and we will encourage you. And if you want to be a person who helps others process their pain, support them through it, if you want to be someone who empathizes with, check out my 5 songs to be a better friend. Click the link below and it'll help you.